Hello everybody. In the last screencast we just created our first app. So the first app which just displays hello world. Now what I would like to do is to show you how to add buttons and how to set up event handlers. Alright, so basically the main event handler of a button is clicking on the button, right? So what we're going to do is we go into the app. Here's the app. We pick the storyboard, and this is the view controller that we're interested in. We only have one view controller for the time being. And we click the plus sign and we type button, and basically it shows you all the kind of buttons. And there are types. There is one that's not filled, there are gray, tinted, whatever. So I'm gonna pick the filled one. Here it is. Drag it, drop it into here, and basically I just want it to be above the hello world, right? So basically what I could do is I pick the button and I click here on this, and it shows me that there is it can add a constraint of 24, whatever number we want to type, we can type here. But this is to the closest UI, so basically a component, and the closest UI component is the label. So if we click here and add that constraint, it added, you see these crosshairs, it added a constraint between the button and the label, right? And basically you could see that it's still red. There is red around it, and you could see here there are red. Why? Because the button doesn't know where to align. So it knows that it's anchored here, but it doesn't know where to align horizontally here, right? Where is it going to be? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pick the other button here, and I'm going to center it horizontally in container. Click here. Now you see that it's blue, happy, no problems, right? Now I want to change the button text. So you click on the side menu here. Sometimes the menu is not open. You click here, attributes, and you scroll down a little bit here, and here is button. I could say, for example, click me, and press enter, and the button now shows click me. Now when you run it, the app runs, and basically what's going to happen is it will show the button. Nothing happens when you click. Now I want to respond to these clicks, right? So basically what I'm going to do is, in order to respond to the clicks, we have to write a little bit of code. So now what I want to do is, you go to the view controller, you click on this icon, right? You click here, and that picks the view controller. And then I click on the editor options here. I click here, and then I click on assistant. What this does is that it displays the layout and the code. How does it know that this is the code that corresponds to the view controller? The class name you see is called view controller. So now how? So we go again to view controller, and under the attributes here, or the identity inspector, the class name is view controller, right? So basically what's going to happen is that you pick here, click here, and assistant, and it opens up that class. And basically all I'm going to do, I want, whenever I click this button, to trigger a function inside this class. In order to do that, I'll go here, click the button, select the button, press the control key and keep pressing it, click here and here, and now we created a connection between them. And this connection could be an action, which is what I'm interested in, and it automatically detected the action touch up inside, which is the on click for buttons. There are a lot of other events. I'm only interested in touch up inside here, and I'm going to say button clicked, right? And I place on connect. And then what it does, it creates an IB action, right? And that IB action is a function, button clicked, and I could say print, I could say button clicked, just so that you could see clicked, right? So now if I run this, when I click the button, this function gets called, and this print function is called, and then it should see in the log the print. So I click here, and here's the button is being clicked. Very simple. All right. Now, what I showed you is, when you click, I showed you how to set up a click handler to the button, right? Now, what if I want, when you click, I also want to change the hello world to display a number beside it, or the number of times you click the button. So what I'm going to do is, in order to do that, when you click the button, I would like to get a reference to the hello world label, and I want to change the text in the hello world label to say hello world space, then the number of counts of how often you did that. In order to get a reference to the hello world label, I need also an IB outlet, not an IB action, which is a connection, a reference to that label. In order to do that, I pick the label, control button, drag, and drop. You see it's an IB outlet. The type is UI label. I'll call it, for example, the hello label. All right, I click on connect, and it creates an IB outlet, right? It's called the hello label, right? So basically when you click, I would like to change that hello label. So I'll create a variable, I'll call it count, set it up to be equal to 0. And then basically whenever you click, I'll say count plus plus, right? So I'm going to increment it. And then here I will do self.hello label.text equals hello world. And I want to concatenate to it the count. So basically what I did here is that there is a count just to count how many times you clicked. Every time it just bump up the count by 1. And then the hello label is a reference to that hello label label. And yeah, so okay, so it says you mean equal to count plus. I don't like to use this plus plus because it's always changing here. So I'll say count plus 1, right? So here we're good. So basically count equal to count plus 1, we're good. And then basically what we could do we dump out the count. Hello label refers to is an IB outlet. And basically I could just say dot text to change the text to hello world and the count after that. So now we run it. Let's see what happens. We'll run this, and then basically you will see I click me, see hello world 1, click me again, hello world 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, whatever. Now, so what we demonstrated here is the ability to add event handlers, and make the simplest event handler is a button, how to set up an event handler for a button. Similarly, I was able to change or to manipulate the UI components, the properties or attributes of a UI components through code also, right? So by getting an IB outlet and so on. Another thing to look at is, so if we close this, if I click here, now this is the view controller. If you click on this icon, it shows you the outlets. It shows you the outlets that are involved. For example, let's go back to the assistant. You click on the outlet, you see it highlights, this is the label. You click that, it shows, not click, I just hover over it, shows me that this is the button, and so on, right? So basically that's one way to look at it. And then also you can click here and it shows you these. Now notice something, a big mistake that people do is that sometimes they delete. Let's say if I go ahead and let's say comment out this action, okay? So now the problem of commenting out this action is that the storyboard thinks, you see, that there is an on-click. There's a click listener that has to be set up in the view controller, but you commented it out. It doesn't exist anymore. And even when you look at the view controller, you see it shows you a small, there is a yellow thing. It tells you that it's not defined, which is a problem, right? All right, so now if we go ahead and run this code, the app is going to crash. And it's going to tell you that there is a defined event that it doesn't exist. So when I click here, you see it crashed. When it crashes, if you look at the error that it's showing you here, it says that the reason is that the view controller button clicked unrecognized selector. So basically you have this button click that you promised you're going to have. So if you go here, and if you see here, there is a button clicked that you promised to have, but it doesn't exist because you commented it out or deleted it or whatever. So I go back, remove this, and this, and then we run it again. Now everything will be okay. When you click, it's going to work. So here we are. This is the emulator. Click me, and it is working. So yeah, we demonstrated how to add buttons. Very simple and very straightforward. Please let me know if you have any questions. Thank you.